So I'm starting another project. This is a pool filler to keep the pool fill if I may be away. I got the idea on Unstructables, so it's not all my original idea, but the brains behind it is this. It uses a toilet fill valve, so it's a very slow fill, which is what I'm looking for in case of some type of failure. Where I've read about the other pool fillers, then you get plenty of water coming through, and some people, they can find an adapter for the end of the valve. So I did find this piece, which is 2" by 3/4" cap, but it has the 3/4" hole in the top, so that fits right in, the valve fits right in there. It's got a gasket, and then you just screw that on and that holds it in, so I think that solved the problem there. The downside was you got to get a lot of pieces to go down to 1", so this is about 4 pieces to reduce it down to 1 inch, and then you got your various other pieces here that I'll assemble this with. Here's the assembled piece with the valve on top, and this is where you can adjust the height to whatever fill level you wanted. So that was really the tricky part, was determining the length of this piece so that that had the right adjustment area, and then that locks in place like that. Only places I didn't use the cement was here. I used some nylon or tape, and that's because otherwise you wouldn't really have a place for maintenance. So if you did need to change this valve at some time, you could just unscrew this piece. You'd have to replace this whole assembly too, these 2 pieces, to be able to unscrew this, but I tried to put that on nice and tight, so we'll see how that works. The other place I used the tape was here. If I had, let's say, this cracked, then I would want to replace that piece. This piece you get in the sprinkler section at the hardware store. So that's the final piece, and I'm going to let it dry overnight before I put any water pressure through it. Total cost at Lowe's was $57, includes everything here, the cement that you need, and also that includes a RV garden hose. So I didn't really love the way the other valve turned on and off, but I may have to go back to it because this one, you can see, it worked okay the first time, but then with just water coming out there, and it still does seem to stop, but for some reason when you reactivate it, then water comes out the bottom here too. So I didn't do that the first time, and it shouldn't be doing that that I'm aware of, unless it's also designed that way. I'll have to check, but So I may have to go back to the original one, but I was glad that I put this service connection here, because that allowed me to just try this one out. So I actually confirmed in the house that this is how it's supposed to work. So now I know how this works. But this down here fills the tank, and this here fills the bowl, because that tube has the tube that goes down into the bowl. So this is working correctly, and you can see if I stop it, everything stops. And there's the other one I had on. Maybe this works the same way, I just didn't notice it more, but and it was hard to stop and start it manually since it's in the interior here. This does have a little bit bigger nozzle, but what I found was that this is where the water is supposed to be, and it would stop here, but then it wouldn't really start till down there. So that's about 1.5 inches to 2 inches, and that seemed to be a lot. So I think this one has a little bit more well, here when it stopped, and then, you know, maybe 1 inch. So it just seems a little bit shorter and be able to gauge easier or adjust easier. Also thought I'd show this. I have the water turned on just pretty slightly, but I also got this is for an RV that limits the PSI, and supposedly that will keep this hose from bursting. This hose was rated up to 300 PSI anyway, but this supposedly keeps it at 40 or 50, and then just turning this on just a little bit should be okay. And then here is where I have it set up, so you can see there's no other leaks or anything, and it's running right now. I'm going to put the black hose on here so you don't have to hear the water sound if you don't like it. But you can see that this travels up somewhere close to 1 inch before it would stop. And then it has to go back down somewhere there before it would start again. And I put this on bricks and some tiles here. I might put some weight here just to keep it in place, but I just wanted this to be as vertical as possible so there wasn't any binding if it was at a strange angle. I found the tube from the original valve was just the right length, so that if I put it on there, you could still see the water coming out, at least at this level, where you would definitely need to have it operational. And then you wouldn't get the noise. So I thought that was nice. So there's kind of what it looks like. I'm going to let this run and see where we are, maybe overnight type of deal probably, since it's a very slow fill. Okay, so it's the next day, and this was started about yesterday afternoon until maybe 8 this morning. So in that time it filled about 1 inch. The pool is pretty large, so still a good amount of water, And so I made some marks on the pipe so I could tell where things were. When I'm away, I'm going to have a camera on the pool so I can just look at these markers and tell where it's at. So this top line is where it is now, just where it should be stopped. And then the next black marker down was actually where it started yesterday, so that was about the inch that it filled. So if I see the water level in between those black lines, I know that I'm okay. And then the red line there is the bottom of the intake for the skimmer, so that would be the very lowest level. If you go below that, then you have a problem.